Hello everybody, this is 4X. I am going to update my Adamar's Dungeon Gold Find tutorial. Now this update will be good for version 1.7 and hopefully later, but if not I will update them as needed. With the significant changes in the latest versions to Adamar's Dungeon's amount of enemies, what can drop gold and stuff like that, Gold Find has changed enough that I want to update this map. Now this Gold Find tutorial will be based as a general Gold Find tutorial for all three classes with some night specific tips thrown in there for good measure. Alright, now the first thing you want to do is make sure you have your Gold Find equipment on. You can get these at the Forge about once a week, where you can get additional gold as an add-on to your jewelry. So you do that. Now we're going back into Adamar's Dungeon, and here we go. Okay. Alright. Now once you get in Adamar's Dungeon, now I will be stopping at each area and going back to the beginning of the area to show you the solo version and then the multiplayer version. Okay, so first the solo version. I'm going to come through here, take out these barrels. If they drop any items, pick them up. As a knight, use your charge to quickly move through the maps and take out those barrels, that flag bearer, and then come back this way. Did you notice I went up there and grabbed those other enemies in the pathway as well? That's fine. And that was supposed to be charge, and that was supposed to be hurl. So anyhow, what you're doing is you're running through the enemies, pick up the barrels as you go through with hurl, if you have it fast enough. Otherwise, just what you're doing is you're giving it time for the Shroud Animator to resurrect all the enemies, and you're trying to gather up all the enemies into one night side group. I'm going around in circles to gather them up in the group, and once I felt like I've gathered them up in the group, I go ahead and throw down my area of effect attack to take out the majority of the enemies, and then I follow them up with my normal main melee attack to follow out. So we're going to stop there for a second and go back to the beginning to show the multiplayer version of this. When you tighten them up into a group, that couple extra seconds to tighten them in a group will actually save you a lot of time in the long run, because what will happen is you'll be able to take the majority of them out at once instead of having to chase a bunch of them down. Okay, so multiplayer. You'll spawn here. If you're the first person to spawn, come down here to where you can see these barrels. And as soon as you see the health part of the other members of your party, go ahead and take out those barrels. Everybody will get the gold from those barrels because it's close enough for it to happen. Alright. If you're the fastest person or the first person to spawn through here, come down here, take out just the flag bearer. Use just your normal attack to take out the flag bearer and come back up this way. And as the fastest person come up here, grab those enemies there and come around here. And if you notice, and you'll know, do not take out the barrels or pick up that guys yet. Alright, and you start running around in circles. Alright, now player 1 is running around in circles there. He's the fastest player. Players 2 and 3, what they'll do is they'll come through here and grab these enemies here and meet up here. And then players 1, 2, and 3 are now all running around in circles. At this time, go ahead and use your area of effect attack, all of you, and try to take out the enemies as quickly as possible. Once you've done so, one person can come up here, take out the barrels, another one can come over here and take out the people, and if you have a third person, they can take out these barrels, and then everybody kind of congregates this direction, picks up these last two people, and then they come down this way. Alright, now I'm switching back to a solo run version. So as a soloer, you'll come down here and come around this corner, and as you go through here, go ahead and take out these barrels. Pick up any items as you go through, and you'll save some time. As a knight, use your charge to again speed up your traversing of the map, but you're still just going around down this direction. Don't worry about picking up items yet. You'll be able to do that later. I'll go ahead and take out those barrels as I go through, just give enemies time to congregate. Now I go ahead and go around through here. Now as if you're a knight, go ahead and put your angelic form on now to avoid any knockdown from any suicide bombers that blow up. Once you felt you've got them significantly bunched up, go ahead and use your area of effect attack and take out all the enemies. And then you go through here and you take out, you come through here and you pick up all the villagers. Any items that drop from the enemies you may have popped through here if you're as a knight using charge is now the time to pick up. Otherwise, keep going. Okay, I'm still running solo here. Now as a solo, you come up here and you'll take out this flag bearer, and since you're already trying to take out enemies around here, go ahead and finish up these other enemies. It just makes it a little easier and you're not waiting on them to come down. Alright, now I'm going to the back to the middle of this section to show what you do as a multiplayer. Okay, the fastest person will come down here and go around the corner. They will not take out the barrels you'll see here. All they're doing is gathering enemies. If you're knight, do not use charge, because charge actually does take out enemies. What you're doing is you're going through here. But if you're a wizard, go ahead and use teleport. All right. Now as knight, what you do is you come up, and you'll gather the enemies starting around here. Player 2 will come this way immediately. And what they're going to do is do not take out this flag bearer here, but what you're doing as player 2 is you're coming up here and gathering these enemies back down this direction. So now players 1 and 2 are circling in here with all the enemies. Player 3, if you have one, will come up this direction and come back down here and meet up with player 1. And once you meet up with player 1, you both head up this way and meet up with player 2 in the center. Now if your player, they're only playing 2 players and your fastest person, your fast person will come up to all the way to here and gather the enemies, come back. Now once everybody gets all the enemies gathered, area of effect attack, kill the enemies and go. Okay, now this is where you want to do it. Now you have to discuss, this is something you probably should discuss with your group before you do so. Now I think you should go ahead and take out the barrels. There's enough of them over there that it's worth it. So if you're going to take out these barrels, this is where you discuss it. You about taking out the barrels, alright? If you're going to take out these barrels, all 3 of you need to come up through here. The fastest person can actually take out the barrels as they go through and gather the items, and the other 2 can come up here and gather the items. Okay, now, as a multiplayer, one person comes down this direction, starts picking up the villagers going this way. Another person comes this way and starts picking up the villagers in the middle, and these villagers 2 here, and comes down this way. And if you've got a third player, they can just come down the middle and start picking up the villagers. And what you're doing is everybody's getting the villagers, and it is close enough where everybody will gain the gold as long as everybody's picking up the villagers. Alright? Once you're done with that, everybody kind of make a quick swing up here, take out these barrels as you come through. And multiplayer people will come through here, take out that this dragon statue has come through, and then come up here, and everybody takes out the barrels. Okay. This next point does not change no matter if you're going with 2 or 3 or 1 player. So you just come on through here and gather all the enemies. All right. Fastest player will come down here and gather these guys and the suicide bombers. All right. Or if you're by yourself, what you do is you gather all suicide bombers. And now what you're doing again, as I've mentioned plenty of times before, is you're running around in circles. You're giving the shroud animator time to animate all the enemies. But what you're doing is you're getting everybody gathered up in a nice tight group, so your area of effect attack can kill the majority of them. Okay, now once you've done that, if you're knight, you will have to come down here to take out these barrels. But you take out the barrels and you come back this direction immediately. You do not have to wait. If you're an archer, your firestorm skill will take out the barrels from here. So if you have an archer in your group, go ahead and wait here. In any case, once all these enemies see, you can pick up your items from here. So that way, if you have to go down past this area here to get the barrels, don't worry about waiting for the items to drop. Come back up here, stop here, grab your items, and continue on through. As a knight, at each of these stops, if you're having a rough time killing the enemies, or the enemies are knocking you back too often, use your angelic form. You're not worried about dying as much as you're worried about keeping yourself from getting knocked down and slowing down your run. Okay, now I'm running this next step, which is the last step, pretty much, as soloing. So this is how you do it solo. Come up here, pop out these 2 barrels, and then just run by. Any items that drop, you'll be able to pick up later. Pop through here, take out this barrel, and if you notice as the knight, I'm using the charge to speed up my run through again. Okay, come up here and gather the enemies around. Now I find using max out hurl down here will take out a good portion of enemies that throw items and stuff like that. But again, I'm running everybody around in a circle to gather them up in a nice tight little group, so that way one area of effect attack should be able to take out most of them or most of their damage. Alright, gather your items, and then head down here. Alright, pick up any items that may have dropped from those barrels there. Now come down here, and as Knight, I use Hurl here. I would use any other long-range attack, but what you're doing is you're drawing those guys away from here. You're not worried about killing them yet, but you're drawing them away from those two guys so you can gather their gold as they come through. Now up here, take out these barrels, and those barrels, pick up any items they drop and go through. Now odds are you'll end up killing a couple enemies as you're doing so, that's okay. Alright, and then just continue on, but don't worry about killing all the enemies just yet. Come up here, bring him up to Sard and the Blood Fiend, take him out. And if you're Knight, these guys line up perfectly for a nice charge attack through. Use it, kill them up as quickly as possible. Using your area attack, effect attack, and so on and so forth. And now go ahead and go through and collect your items. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the start of this run to show what you would do as players 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Alright. So what you do is you're kind of coming down here. Now, your fastest person, I'm talking about move speed here, not your fastest killer. You'll know it by this time. Your fastest person will come down here, ignoring these two prisoners, ignoring the barrels, and coming up here. If you're a Knight, pop your angelic form right around here to avoid knockback, slowing you down. Come up here and gather Sardin. Alright? Now by the time Sardin reappears, all the enemies will have gathered up in this corner. Just run past them and coming back down this way. And as you're doing so, come back every now and then just to make sure all the enemies are coming. Because if you're running the fastest, odds are you're outrunning the enemies. And just keep doing so until you bring them up here. Alright? Now odds are you'll meet the rest of your party here. But if you do not, continue to bring them on up this direction. What you're doing is you're trying to meet your party. Once you do so, and once all the enemies are gathered, use your area effect attacks. Okay. Alright, player 1 has done their job. Now I'm going back as player 2 of a 2- and 3-person party. Player 2, doesn't matter who it is, this guy or that guy, doesn't matter. Player 2, not this fast, will come up through here. They can go ahead and take out that barrel. It's not worth it for anybody else to worry about going through. And come up here and they're gathering items. Now here's a slight departure. If you're a player 2 of a 2-person party, you come down here and go ahead and pick up these enemies here. And then come down here. If you're player 2 of a 3-person party, you just run straight across and come down here. Now, if you don't meet player 1 on your way here, just wait here and start gathering enemies, running around in circles, and what you're doing is you're gathering up into a nice tight little group. Okay. Player 3 of a 3rd-person party has got the easiest job, and they're probably going to be your slowest person. You send them right up the middle. What they'll do is they'll gather these enemies, and what they're going to end up doing is they're going to start the Shroud Animator animating all these enemies here. Alright? And they're going to probably beat player 2 coming this direction. What they're going to do is they're going to come down here and bring the enemies and start circling them up here. Okay? So when player 2 comes down, he'll drag the enemies that the Shroud Animator and the enemies of Shroud Animator resurrected to here. Once all 3 of you guys meet around here, and you could end up meeting here too, depending on how fast things go. But once you guys meet all up and got everybody in, including Sardin, who's the slowest runner from this direction, area attack effects take everything out. Kill everybody, and then once you do so, there's 3 barrels here, take them out. If they haven't already been taken out in melee, you got about 5 or 6 barrels here, does the same thing, and then everybody runs down here real quick and picks up these last 2 prisoners. At this point, you end the level. Okay. As you guys may have noticed, I mentioned some Knight-specific tips. Archers, you can use decoy to help gather the enemies where you want them. Knights, use your angelic form to avoid the knockdown or knockback effects. Knights also use your charge to quicken your time through the levels. And wizards, you have teleport. If you have teleport, you can use that to quicken your time through the levels. If you like what you see, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, twitch.tv, and Twitter. Also, if you have any different ideas on ways to run faster, please put them in the comments below. I'm always interested to see how people run these and how much faster they can do so. Again, if you like what you see, please subscribe to me on YouTube, twitch.tv, and Twitter at 4x11gd. Again, that's FOURX11gd. Thanks for watching, and have a